Former President Ronald Reagan once famously said about public policy, if it moves, tax it. If it keeps moving, regulate it. If it stops moving, subsidize it. This blunt assertion leads us to the topic of the day. On balance, public subsidies for professional athletic organizations benefit their local communities. I believe this statement is false for three main reasons. First, let me present to you an interesting fact about our teams. Teams will claim and threaten to leave despite the fact that they rarely do leave. Cities are then desperate to keep a team even though the threat is incredibly low in chances. The effect is that mayors are forced to do anything they can to try and keep a team, even though the team itself knows that they will not ever go through the hassle of changing to a new city. The simplest explanation is fear, says Lake Forest College economist Robert Bade. Because team owners can choose new cities, but cities can't choose new teams, politicians continue to believe that it would be a political disaster for them to lose a city or a team on their watch. For example, Florida Marlins president David Sampson first declared in 2004 that a new stadium build has to happen in the next week. If not, we'll move on. He repeated similar threats for the next 4 years until the city of Miami and Miami-Dade County finally agreed to kick in more than $478 million for a new stadium with a retractable roof. Next, stadium can be constructed without the use of public tax dollars. Almost all NFL stadiums are constructed using subsidies, despite all 32 NFL teams being in the top Fortune 50 of revenue-generating sports teams. Just 3 of the 31 NFL stadiums were built without subsidies, and in 2 of those cases, public funding was used later on to significantly renovate or upgrade the stadium. For example, the Vikings are lousy at scoring touchdowns. They have the worst record in the NFC North. However, next year, they'll be playing ball in a brand spanking new $975 million complex in downtown Minneapolis, more than half of whose cost is being picked up by state and local taxpayers. Over the 30-year life of the project, the public share of costs will become $678 million. The team will pay about $13 million a year to use the stadium. However, since they get virtually all rights from parking, food, luxury boxes, naming rights, and more, just to be able to cover that tab easily. Forbes values the franchise at $800 million, and the team's owner is what Zygi Wolf is worth a cool $310 million. The economic benefits are overstated and the costs are underestimated. Economic benefits are rarely seen at stadiums, and when economic activity is seen, they almost always represents a shift in activity for more locally owned businesses. Almost all money from pro sports goes to team owners, so almost none of it gets recirculated back into the community. However, if mom and pop restaurants or local entertainment venues were getting that money, they'd almost certainly recirculate that money back into the community, having a much higher multiplier effect. Not only do we not get the economic growth we were promised, but we end up killing small businesses in the area. The local private sector isn't the only thing that is devastated by these subsidies, though. Fire stations get closed, library hours get cut, schools lose funding, and in general, the community suffers. For these 3 reasons, I urge a con ballot in today's resolution. Thank you.
All right, draw your speech.